This is TID Short Stories, a TID Water and Power Podcast miniseries. Every episode, you'll hear a short, unique, and often lesser-known story from TID's rich history. And you'll hear these stories that helped build the district's 135-year history, told by the people who operate the district today. On today's episode, TID Chief Financial Officer Brian Stubbert tells the story of a grand celebration honoring the first 50 years of California's first irrigation district.
It was called the largest celebration the region has ever witnessed. And by even modern standards, Turlock Irrigation District's 50th anniversary jubilee may likely still hold that distinction. In 1937, the two-day Turlock event followed months of anticipation and preparation. The grand event saw more than 20,000 people flock to Turlock. The fact that less than 10,000 resided in Turlock at the time indicates the magnitude of the celebration. Even the local newspaper, the Turlock Daily Journal, printed what was hailed then as its largest paper ever on Thursday, June 10th. It was a 40-page Jubilee edition, complete with a before and after masthead that depicted an image of dry land with the year 1887 superimposed on it at the far left, and then a vibrant, flowing canal of 1937 to the far right. The newspaper was clear that the Jubilee was a show of Thanksgiving more than anything, noting that it was for people to reveal their thanks to a man-made system of bringing water from the mountains to the east to the floor of the valley. Without it, Turlock would still be a wind-blown, sandy desert stopping point of a few houses. Given the ups and downs since TID's 1887 founding, the region had plenty to celebrate 50 years later. Still in the midst of a Great Depression that forced some 16 California irrigation districts to default on their obligations, and many San Joaquin Valley irrigation districts to seek government loans to stay afloat, TID was largely unscathed from the worldwide economic depression, mostly because of continued customer growth, wise investments, and the stewardship of Don Pedro Dam and Power Plant, which was completed in 1923 and made power affordable for the local community. The Jubilee's main events were the Friday, June 11th Irrigation Districts Association of California meeting, a massive parade and picnic on Saturday, June 12th, and a grand finale pageant. Turlock Mayor Frank Day oversaw the planning personally as Jubilee chairperson. Jubilee spirit was high even in the weeks leading up to the Saturday events. A special hidden article in the Jubilee edition of the Turlock Daily Journal issued a warning given to beardless Turlock males that any man found without facial hair similar to that of the 1880 style would be roused and chided. Today, the Association of California Water Agencies, or ACWA, is the largest statewide coalition of public water agencies in the United States, with more than 460 public agency members, including TID. In 1937, however, ACWA was known as the Irrigation Districts Association of California, and TID was a founding member. To kick off the weekend celebration, the association held its regular convention of members on Friday, June 11th, inside the Turlock High School auditorium. The meeting was highlighted by California Governor Frank Merriam, providing the evening keynote to members. Merriam's address probably took similar tone to an editorial published one day earlier in the Turlock Daily Journal, when the governor said of TID, "Those pioneers not only changed what once was an arid desert to one of the richest agricultural areas in the West, but they led the way for other irrigation districts to do the same thing. Turlock showed them how." Friday's festivities continued with a vaudeville show and street dances in front of Fox Theater on Main Street, lasting well into the early morning hours. Saturday, June 12th, saw delegates from the Irrigation District Convention take a tour of the 14-year-old Don Pedro Reservoir, as well as the new Riverside Park next to the Tuolumne, near Owens Reservoir, known to us these days as Turlock Lake. A Golden Jubilee Aquatic Festival was held at the Turlock Municipal Plunge, where the Fresno City College and Modesto Junior College swim teams squared off in competitions. The parade itself was majestic, with red, white, and blue buntings draped up and down the large multiple-floor buildings of Main Street. Some 20,000 people in attendance were not disappointed, as a 1-hour parade stretched 2 miles in length. Those in the parade dressed in old-time garb, hearkening back to 1887. The TID Board of Directors and Chief Engineer Roy Meikle took to vintage stagecoaches and special cars, which were only a few of the many parade entries, including floats designed by the different departments of TID. Other employees revived vintage equipment to take to the streets to remind parade goers of the changes that had taken place over the young district's 50-year history. Horses, marching bands, and floats continued down the street from local organizations, such as the American Legion Auxiliary and Daughters of Union Veterans. When the parade wrapped, a large picnic supper for the public was hosted at Crane Park. Speaking of supper, a read of the Jubilee edition of the newspaper featured countless special advertisements congratulating the district. Among ads for 10-cent loaves of bread as part of special Jubilee grocery sales, and Oldsmobile sedans offered for $998 each, sister agency Modesto Irrigation District praised TID for its 50 years, in addition to auto parts stores and barbershops tipping their caps. The paper was sold and delivered in a beautiful blue and gold wrapper, and the Daily Journal noted to recipients that the edition could be mailed anywhere for 5 cents. The paper published countless articles about TID and its history, including one article discussing Don Pedro as the foe of drought and darkness. Additional articles featured LaGrange Dam as the cousin of mighty Don Pedro, and the growth of city and school districts thanks to TID Water and Power, and how TID troubleshooters received some 700 calls per month for service. One particular article of interest highlighted the life and career of Anna Sorensen, who served TID from 1903 to 1936 as the board secretary. Mrs. Sorensen was better known for her nickname Mother, which one could only assume she earned from her 30-plus years of keeping the TID board of directors in line. Another article gave insight, whether intended or not, to the life and personality of TID Chief Engineer Roy Meikle. It was either Meikle's curt and to-the-point management style, or his disdain for the media, or maybe both, that led Meikle to be quoted in a profile article as saying, "I have to eat. Because I have to eat, I have to work. Because I have to work, I have this job." Meikle, who came to TID in 1912, would serve the district for 59 years before retiring at the age of 87 in 1971. An evening Jubilee finale at the Turlock High School football field was complete with a 3-level stage with a 60-foot-high backdrop painting of Don Pedro Reservoir. The national anthem was played by the Modesto Symphony Orchestra, led by conductor Frank Mancini. A pageant of history and development of TID, going all the way back to the creation of water in the Old Testament book of Genesis, featured more than 600 high school girls who performed interpretive dances in a brilliant display of 5 choreographed episodes, including a prologue and epilogue. The climax of the pageant ended with the depiction of the building of Don Pedro. A fireworks show concluded the Jubilee finale, to the joy and amazement of those in attendance. As part of the build-up to the Jubilee, Turlock Mayor Frank Day commissioned a contest to write a theme song to celebrate the occasion. Margaret Salmonson's winning Jubilee theme song submission was titled My Own Turlock, an adaptation of the folk song O Susanna. Here's the final verse of the song. The pioneers of days gone by made sparkling waters flow. Through every field the mystic stream caused everything to grow. I stand in awe and wonder how the work of mortal hands could coax the bloom and beauty from arid desert lands. And the chorus concludes, My own Turlock, the place for you and me. I will meet you there, my sweetheart, at the Golden Jubilee. Less than 4 decades removed from the grain era where only dry farmed wheat was able to be grown, TID had turned an arid land of vagabonds into a vibrant region. Many words were shared about TID leading up to and during the Jubilee, but California Assemblyman Hugh Donnelly's words may succinctly describe what everyone in the region was feeling in celebration. As an example of publicly owned utilities, the Turlock Irrigation District is outstanding, said Donnelly. As an example of able leadership and accomplishment, it is unsurpassed.